Alright, here is a video on how to do the tree diagram and area model for slides 3 and 4 in lesson 423. Okay, so we need to use the information they're giving us in slide 2, which is saying we're playing this game and you get to pick out of 2 bags. Okay, in the first bag you have squares containing 3 yellow squares, 1 blue square, and 2 red squares. In the second bag you have circles, 1 yellow and 2 red. So there's 2 events happening here. The first event is you're reaching in the bag of squares and picking one out. The second event is reaching into the bag of circles and picking one out. So in the tree diagram, we need to branch each event. Okay, so the first event being the squares. So event 1 is going to be the squares, and there are 3 different types of outcomes when you reach into the bag of squares. Okay, the first outcome being that you could get a yellow square, or a red square, or a blue square. So that's the first event. You reach into the bag and the outcomes would be yellow, red, blue. Now if you read the problem, there are 3 yellow, 1 blue, 2 red. That's a total of 6 squares. Okay, so that means 3 out of the 6 are yellow, so I'm going to label that branch 3 out of 6. 2 out of the 6 are red, so I'm labeling that branch 2 out of 6. And 1 out of the 6 are blue, so I'm labeling that branch 1 out of 6. Now for the second event, it has to branch off the first one, because say we pick a yellow square, well then we get to the chance at the second event. And so we branch off from each one. So yellow branches, red branches, and blue branches here. Okay, well what are the outcomes of the second event? Well, you can either grab a yellow square you could either grab a yellow circle or a red circle. So you could either grab yellow or red, yellow or red, and so on and so forth. Okay, well if I go back, I believe there are 2 red circles and 1 yellow circle, so a total of 3 circles, and 1 of them is yellow, 1 out of 3 is yellow, 2 out of 3 are red. Same for each one. 1 out of 3 is yellow, 2 out of 3 is red, and you could do that for each one. Okay. Now, if I want to figure out, like it's asking here, what's the probability of winning the game or choosing that blue and red combination? Well, when I use a tree diagram, I need to multiply down the branches. That's what I say, multiply down the branches. So if I want blue and then red, well, a blue is 1/6, a red is 2/3. I'm multiplying both of those branches, so 1/6 times 2/3. 1 times 2, the numerators, gives me 2. 6 times 3, multiplying the denominators, I get 18. So 2 out of 18, that reduces down to 1/9. Okay, and you could do that for each one if you wanted to. You could say, okay, what's my probability of getting a yellow and then a red? Well, I'd multiply my 3/6 times my 2/3 to get my yellow and red combination. You could do it for each one if you wanted, but that's not what it's asking here. Now lastly, if I want to set up the area model here, okay, I'm going to do a rectangle. So our area model is always a square or a rectangle. Event 1 is going to be on this side. So event 1 is on this side. That's going to be my squares. And the outcomes for the squares again were yellow, red, and blue. And event 2 up here, the circles, you could either get a yellow or a red. My handwriting's sloppy, I apologize. Okay, and now I'm going to split up my boxes so that it looks more like my area model. Now I need to fill in what goes in each and every box. Well, again, before I can figure out what goes in the box, I got to think about the probability of each. The probability of getting a yellow square was 3 out of 6. The probability of getting a red square was 2 out of 6. And you could fill in the rest. They're the same as it was on the last slide. Now if I want to figure out what goes in each box here, I need to multiply the probabilities to see what goes in. So if this was 1 out of 3 for this yellow and 3 out of 6 for this yellow, well, I'd multiply 1/3 times 3 sixes, and I would get 3/18 as an answer that goes in here. And then you could just multiply to figure out what goes in each and every box. Okay, that's where I'm going to leave it. I'm going to let you fill out the rest. If you have any more questions, make sure you reach out and ask.